Hello, this is Brian Rowe with Mythic MTG Tech. I'm doing a quick video here on Modern Masters. This isn't a real formal one. I just want to talk about my first few drafts that I've had, including the 3 sanctioned drafts, and some of the things that I've learned from that. There's 2 big tips that I really want you to take away from this. One is learn the 10 archetypes that are out there, and number 2 is pay attention to bombs and don't be afraid to grab off-color bombs and splash them. So let's talk about that first one. Wizards has done an extremely good job making 10 different viable decks that can be drafted out of this. There's a wonderful Rebels deck. There's a very powerful Fairies deck. There's a 5-color Artifact deck with Sunburst. There's an extremely good Ramp deck. There's even a Storm deck with Suspend in it. So look up each of these different archetypes. Alexander West has a really good article out there explaining them. Conley Woods over on Channel Fireball also has a really good article. I'll try to put some links down in the description to those articles. But knowing those archetypes allows you on pack 1 to stay open and see which of those archetypes isn't being drafted late. Because if you see something like a Bound in Silence coming later, you know that that Rebels archetype is open and that you're going to be able to get some really good cards pack 2. Also see which ones are being shut down. In this last draft, I went 3-0 in it, and I noticed right away that the table was clearly fighting over green cards and ramp cards, because I was seeing absolutely no ramp cards come around. And there's a pretty good amount of ramp cards in this set. So I was able to avoid that, and I was able to go into blue, which was somewhat open, and also the 5-color Artifact, because people don't realize how good these vivid lands are. I was able to pick up 3 of the vivid lands, which were in my red, white, and blue colors, which I was almost all blue, a little bit of white, and some red burn for support. But these enabled me to play the 5-color Artifacts. And when I'm talking about 5-color Artifacts, these are the cards with Sunburst that when they come into play, they get counters based on the number of different colors that you've paid into them. So Etched Oracle is really my favorite bomb there. If you're able to produce 4 colors, you can sack this guy and draw 3 cards. Another one that I was able to get 2 of in this last draft was the Skyreach Manta. Amazing card, 5/5 flyer if you can get the 5 colors, but even if you're only able to produce 3, it's a 3/3 flyer, which is better than most of the flyers, and a 4/4 flyer is still really good. Also makes it easier to splash some of those dual color cards. I picked up on Electrolyze a little bit late in the draft. It was clear that the person who was playing blue to my right passed it because he wasn't in red yet, but if you had had the Vivids, it would have been super easy to splash. Now, the second strategy that's extremely important is pay attention to the bombs. It's very easy because of the Vivids to splash bombs and because of the land cycling cards. The land cycling counterspell is actually one of the better land cycling cards because it gives you a late game counterspell and it can get you a basic land. But you can easily add some of the extremely good cards even if they're off color. So these are some of the bombs that I was able to pick up in that last draft. The Galendra is just incredible, lets you counter 1, maybe 2 spells. Engineered Explosives is great removal, and if you've got it in that Artifact deck along with the Gargoyles so that you can recur it, it's just a lot of value. And then Ungiven Gifts, this card is nuts. Amazing. There's the opportunity in the Artifact deck to reanimate, so I can put stuff into the graveyard and then bring it back to hand. It basically acts as a double demonic tutor. This was a 5th pick, which is just amazing. And even a green-red deck should look at a Vivid or 2 to try to splash something like that because of the power that demonic tutor type effect gives you. So the 2 tips that I've really got for people who are trying to draft is number 1, look up the 10 different archetypes that are there and try to be aware of what archetypes are going on. And number 2, grab the bombs. Now, I'm not saying necessarily the super expensive cards. These are the cards that are going to win you the game. Things like Rude Awakening, Gifts Ungiven, very powerful cards. This is a lot like drafting a cube and not like doing a regular booster draft. The last piece of advice I've got here is go out to your store and try to get them to commit to do drafts if they get boxes in later. Everybody's went through their reserve lists, and there are a lot of speculators out there that are just trying to grab these boxes. But what's going to make Modern successful is opening these boxes and getting them in the hands of players. So if you can get your store to commit that, you know, if we happen to get a few extra boxes through our comic book distributor or through our main distributor in a few months, can we run a draft and be ready with some friends to do that draft? Then you got in, you're usually in at the $25 to $35 range, which is a good price on these. And the other thing that I really suggest is to make it a little more competitive is redraft the rares at the end. So this last draft that I did, what we basically did is did 3 rounds, put everybody in standings, and then whoever got first was able to draft the first pick of everything that was open. And then second gets second pick, third gets third pick. Everybody is going to probably get $20, $30 worth of cards that way, but it gives you a chance to have this really competitive back and forth type games, and you don't just have people rare drafting off the top. Set those rules up in advance and have a lot of fun. Enjoy the Modern Masters while it's out there. It's clearly disappearing quickly, but I hope there's enough to draft all the way through the summer. Thanks.